I'm glad to be here again. Thank you for having me. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can see it. First things first, I would like to thank all of you for joining Python Web Conference. It's my favorite conference, online conference. Honestly, it's the only one I really care about every year. So I'm happy to be here. I would like to thank also my good friends at 6 Feet Up for organizing this every year. It's awesome, you rock. And I would like to thank everyone that's watching this either live or recorded. I would like you to, if you have any question, please follow me on Twitter and on Mastodon and send me messages there. It's going to be great to hear feedback about this presentation. So first things first, let's talk about Plone, okay? Plone is the leading open source Python CMS. We are here for over 20 years. We've been doing this CMS thing for quite a long time. And we have a really friendly worldwide community. Many people in the Python community, they came from the Plone community a long time ago. And it's interesting to say we are here, we are still doing our business, we still have high profile sites. Even though CMS is a commodity these days, back in 2005, 6, 7, CMS was the thing you needed to have your site. And nowadays you just need a place to store your content. Right. One important point about Plone, Plone is truly open source. It's not developed by a company and then outsource parts of it. We are a truly open source community. We have a foundation that protects the code base and the brands and everything else related to Plone, and especially our community. And this foundation is also almost 20 years old. So we are here, we are proven. And it's a really secure, scalable solution. Just to give you an idea, we have one of the best, if not the best, security record for open source CMSs, or actually CMSs in general. Since our early days, we had any zero-day vulnerabilities. Most of our vulnerabilities were related to small things, and I usually say the most effective way of hacking a Plone site is having a user account. So if you have a user account, you can change everything. You can change the text, the look and feel, as a CMS should do. Right? We always, since the day zero, we had a focus on accessibility and usability, not only for the public sites, but also for the internal user interface where people would go and add their content, manage their content. We always try to excel in allowing editors to have the full control of their sites on their hands, right? And of course, you're going to see from time to time someone saying, oh, but Plone is not shiny ass and put your new CMS in here. That's not true. Actually, you're probably used to an old version of Plone, you're not getting updated and so on. Also, one of the things, considering this world where CMSs are a commodity and everyone wants to develop their own thing, there are dozens of JavaScript frameworks, single page application solutions, and so on and so forth, and even mobile apps. Plone has headless support, has first-class headless support. We have a very comprehensive REST API. You can build stuff on top of Plone without having to resort to developing page templates and so on and so forth. Just a small digression on a personal note. I've been using Plone. I've been using Plone since 2004. It's quite a long time. And I believe 2014, I moved to be CTO for this German company, right? And in there, in every project we had, I would use Plone as a headless CMS. The alternative to Plone would be Contentful or even Drupal, but Plone was a simple, elegant, and really secure solution. So Plone can be used, for instance, you have a Django application, you can use the CMS part of Plone integrated with that. You have a fast API, same thing. In the past, I integrated Plone with Angular, React, Vue frontends, but also with PHP Symfony-based solutions. So it was a PHP solution, basically asking for data from a Plone headless backend, and that was perfect because the internal team knew a lot about Symfony. No need to, oh, let's add yet another solution. It was simple, it was stable, secure, integrated with existing authentication we had, and that was perfect. But we are here today to talk about testing. First things first, we have this saying in the Plone community in that untested code is broken code. Actually, I stole this quote from David Glick, one of our in-house genius, where he did some archaeology about testing in Plone, and he came up with this untested code is broken code dating back to 2007 from Martin Aspelli and Philip. Both of them now moved on from the Plone community, are doing other stuff, but it's important. But more important, the first test we can find in the Plone code base dates back to October 7, 2002. So it's a long time that we have tests in the Plone code base. And of course, it's really fun and game when you say, oh, I use all the nice, cool stuff if you do not have a legacy code base. So in here, just to give an idea, we started with whatever was available at the time. It was Unittest. Unittest is a port of the Java word testing solution. And being so, it's in the standard library and easy to use, but does not feel Pythonic enough. It looks a lot like Java stuff. You have a bunch of things you need to learn, and writing tests is not straightforward. But again, when we started, nothing else was there. Also, we have for integration tests and end-to-end tests, we use Robot Framework, we use Selenium, we use Cypress. I believe now there's a new kid on the block called Playwright. So testing things in Plone tends to be complex when we're talking about Plone itself, right? Because testing of Plone, we have 20 years of testing. You can see in here some test runs touch 10,000 different tests, and we're not talking about small asserts. We're talking about stuff that goes really deep into Plone, and to run everything takes a while, right? So getting all of this and moving to any other solution is insane, right? This is the first thing. And for quite some time, I was like saying to my Plone community friends, oh, what about if we simply go and start using Pytest, right? Because first of all, I love Pytest. In the time I was away from the Plone community, and I started playing a lot with Pyramid and then with Fast API, I always use Pytest. And one of the things is Pytest is really, really simple. It's Pythonic, even though there's dependency injection, and dependency injection sometimes looks like magic, but it's way simple to write tests in there than it is to write tests with Unittest. For instance, one of the things that bother me the most with Unittest is the fact that we have those special asserts, and some of them changed name during during history, and I never know which one is the correct one or which one is the preferred one. So for quite a long time in writing unit tests for Plone, it was okay. I have this cheat sheet on my side, and okay, this is the one I need to go. This is the one I need to spend time writing tests for. And also you have all the boilerplate you need to set up stuff, setting permissions, and so on and so forth. That also does not look that much Pythonic. Also, one of the advantages of Pytest is the fact that you have an insanely large ecosystem of Pytest plugins, and you can leverage that on your projects. Saying that, would be awesome to have Pytest in Plone, but then we go to the first step. It is hard to convert 8,000 tests from Unittest to Pytest. Then the Plone community, led by Gil Forcada, we are considering the idea of simply changing the test runner from Zope test case to Pytest, and then run the exact same tests we have right now. And then for new things, we start leveraging on Pytest. So that's one big advantage of Pytest, is the fact that you have a large code base you can adapt. But again, I'm not going to talk about how the Plone community is going to clean up 20 years of testing, bringing that to Pytest and to whatever new framework or new solution that happens in the next few years. It makes no sense. So what I propose and what I've been doing is, what about using Pytest? And by the way, this is a quick example of testing in plone.photo. It's one of the packages within the Plone ecosystem. We still need to use we still use Unittest. And of course, in here, there's a little bit of a sleight of hands, because in the left, I test the versions of Plone and so on and so forth, even though some stuff in here should go away. But even so, you have this, oh, I need to test if the product is installed. I need to write something like self.assert true. And then I pass a bunch of things, and then plone.photo. And now with the new approach is basically installer.isProduct installed. Ta-da. And also this installer removes a bunch of boilerplate. Installer is one of the many fixtures we are offering. And this removes a bunch of boilerplate you need to set up your tests for Plone using Pytest. But again, how we start using Plone with Pytest? We have a plugin. Right now, we have a version 0.20 of Pytest Plone. It's not considered stable. I've been using that in many projects in here. And for instance, the new Plone conference website, 2023.ploneconference.org, that's still not up, but the tests are running with Pytest. The whole magic happens on top of something called ghostsap.pytest layer. Our nice friends of ghostsap, this German company, they implemented a solution that bridges the layers of Unittest and that we use everywhere in Plone, especially Plone app testing and so on and so forth, with the fixtures of the Pytest world. So I hope to have already answered one question that I saw popping up. It also provides some helpers and some easy to use fixtures. Thinking about the normal use cases, I usually say that in Plone, you can basically install Plone and start adding content and so on and so forth. And these days, with the new front-end approach, the new headless approach, if you simply download or do a Docker pull from the latest image of Plone and start using it, that's perfect. It works. You do not need to worry about. But when you have a project for a customer, let's get one example. I want let's talk about call center in Jülich. That's this research institute in Germany institution. So it's not about simply putting a new Plone site. You need to write code on top. You need to write configuration. And most of the time when I tell new Plone developers, one of the nice things about Plone is the fact that it saves you time. You should focus on the real problems and not, oh, I need to set up a new admin, I need to set up authentication and so on and so forth. Makes no sense. So Plone gives you almost all of that by default. And for integrators, our job is mostly to get the existing Lego pieces put together, set up, and write tests to make sure that this is working as expected. So a normal pattern is I create a Python package that we call a police package that configures what is the title of the site, SMTP settings and email settings and so on and so forth, create some default contents. And every time I upgrade part of the configuration, I write an upgrade step, and then I need to start adding tests on top of that. So the whole idea of Pytest Plone is to help, especially integrators or package developers that need to implement their solutions and want to provide better testing coverage for it. As I said, it's already used in many projects. There's a collective.case study add-on. There's the Python, the 2023 Python conference website. Also some kit concept, the company I'm currently working for, we have some really complex add-ons. One of them is SPAS plugins, member property to group, that basically reads the property that comes from LDAP and create a virtual group to set the user and so on and so forth. That being said, this is quite used. I've been testing this, we've been better proofing it and improving this solution on a daily basis. So without much ado, let me show you one of these that's quite simple, is the collective case study. I hope you can see my screen. So this is a product that's used on plone.org that offers you a new content type called case study that basically says, oh, which Plone version, which industry, what's the version of the site, and so on and so forth. It's quite simple. It adds in here, to those that know Plone, a case study content type. It also adds some vocabularies, something like, okay, the industries. We have possible use cases and versions. And then I need to test this. Let me show something here. This is the default testing.py that most Plone packages have in there. So you have this, it works as expected. Everything is exactly the same. I just have in here case study, and I have in here integration testing. Okay. And that's it. I did not change anything. The difference here happens with the fact that I do not have a test folder in here, because I can simply put on the top level of the package in here, and then tests. And now the magic part. This is how you convert the layers in the test case to fixtures. Okay, so Pytest Plone, I import fixtures factory, and here I state Pytest plugin is going to be Pytest Plone. You can add other plugins. For instance, there's this Pytest plugin that helps you start things like Elasticsearch or a database and so on and so forth. So you can add it here if you want. But then there's a bit of magic in here. Not so much magic, but globals update, passing to the fixture factor tuples, where I basically say, use this and give me a new fixture called integration. If I had functional, if I had any other name in here, I could have all of them listed. And then how do I write tests for this? So let's see how test setup install works. I create a class, and in here is just to speed up the tests. Okay, nothing really special. But I create the test in here. I basically say test if this add-on is installed. I ask for the installer fixture, and then installer is product installed. And here, no need for this. Test if browser layer is registered. Also another fixture called browser layers. Test latest version of the profile, that for whoever is new to Plone is this in here. So coming back, and this is it. I test these three things for uninstall. And here I have interesting stuff that I do. I basically say, okay, there's a new test class. I have in here a new fixture that's called uninstalled. And uninstall is going to be auto-use for everything inside here. So I do not need to pass it as a dependency injection to other tests. And then test product uninstalled. Get again installer. Installer is false. Make sure the browser layer is not available. This is the case. Okay. For content, test case study. And here I have a payload to create a new case study. And you can see this is yet another fixture. And then auto use to already get the FTI in here. And then I basically say, okay, I'm going to have self.fti already available everywhere. So self FTI factory, create object, factory assert is not known, assert is an instance of this new thing. Test the FTI is a dexterity FTI. And one of the things I really like about Pytest, even though you can do the same with a package called parameterize, is this parameterize. And here I basically say Pytest mark parameterize behavior. And then there's a list of behaviors that I want to make sure that they are available for this type. So assure that Plone doubling core is going to be in the list of behaviors for this content type, and so on and so forth. And then creation of the content, testing indexer. And here I also have an indexer. So I test NGO, 0 results. So nothing is listed with NGO. And then in here I go create a new content, test again, NGO. Now there's 1 result, and then I can even compare. Okay, one important point is, why do I use class? Do I need to use classes? No, you don't. But probably due to something on GoSet Pytest layer, I still need to figure out. It's way faster if we use a class, just wrapping everything, than simply doing the usual functional way. You can use it, it works, but it's not as fast as this one. And of course, in here, I'm going to run this Pytest, and of course, I'm going to break something. Plone dash related items, Pytest. It's going to run. Testing first the content case study, one error, one failure here. Install is okay, uninstall is okay. The vocabularies also okay, vocabulary usage also okay. Versions, and there's lots of warnings thanks to one of the changes we are going to do for Plone 7. But in here it says Plone related items not available in here. So I can fix, run test again. I can even pass stuff like, okay, I want to run Pytest, tests, content, test case study. If I'm not mistaken, is this? And then test has behavior. Let me see if I'm not. No. No. Blah, blah, blah. I do not remember how to run a single test in here. Okay, and that's it. Test run, pass. Perfect. And of course, I run just a subset of tests. So that was it. One important point in here is this is a very, very simple use case. I have also the test for vocabularies, get me the vocabularies, make sure the token is there. Of course, I could add things like, let's test if the translations are working as expected, and so on and so forth. So it's really, really easy to extend. But I want to show you something else in here. That's content rules Slack. We have this package called content rules Slack that was developed a while ago when I was working for a different company, like 2017 or so, that every time something happens on a Plone site, I report back to Slack. So for instance, a new user created or a user login and so on and so forth, I keep reporting. And I needed to write tests for this. And this is a bit more complex. These tests are older as well, but in any case, the same approach. In here, let me just open here. But in here, I'm overriding the default portal fixture. So it's basically get from integration, get portal, and I'm creating some content here. I create a folder. Inside a folder, I create a document, I return that, and I create a fixture that's folder, and I create a fixture that's doc. And in here I have some function, fixture factor that returns me something that tries to wait until a thread is completed because we have a bit of complexity in one of the tests. So simple things. I have in here tests to validate if I can extract correctly the how do I say, the values from one of the fields. And then again, this is one of the things I like about Pytest, the options, the possibility to parameterize stuff. You can simply run a shitload of tests and make sure that it's working as expected. In here, this actually tests this function here, utils, extract fields from text. It's quite simple. At some point in here, if I do not have exactly title value short, there's going to be a value error. Instead of raising a value error, I'm simply, okay, move on, get me the next line. But Besides that, I have a more complex case in here. Let me show. I have this utility called notifier that actually do the magic of sending the request back to Slack. So something happens, I open a new thread inside of Zope, and I start pushing the request there. Instead of using requests, I use HTTPX because it's async, and it's honestly, I think it's a better solution, even though it has the same API of requests, so easy to adapt. But in here, test notifier, verify if the class is this. Again, this is true, is old habits die hard. Test if utility is registered, so I get the utility, make sure it's exactly this. Test notify webhook performs a post request, and then in here, I install the mock for HTTPX, and I wait for this notification, right? And then here, I basically say, okay, I'm creating this context manager with requests in here. And then I say, okay, when I wait for this to finish, I'm going to have one request. It's going to be a post. And this request post has the following URL. So it's basically getting the same place. And same thing in here. If I send the payload, it's going to have a payload. And I keep testing every possible use case that I want in here. So things like, okay, what's going there? What are the values? If I do have some settings or not, headers and blah, blah, blah. And I have the same thing in here for, again, payload for this new content rule action. So in here, I return a Slack action. I can play with it. I have a dummy event. And test if it's registered, check if there's a iRule action with this name, check some values of this rule action, and then I run the test. One important point is these tests existed before as Unittest. So a while ago, when I decided, okay, I need a new version that's only Plone 6 support only Plone 6, I said, okay, let's move to Pytest. And then I had to adapt. And probably there are better ways of writing the same test with Pytest. But again, I was lazy. I was basically trying to get things done. The whole logic in here is everything you can do with Pytest, you can do with Pytest in Plone. You can have other approaches to test your setup. You can have special fixtures only to test upgrade steps and so on and so forth. In the end, Pytest is probably going to be the way we are going to develop new tests for add-ons, and probably in the long run for Plone itself. To get access to this whole incredible ecosystem. Coming back here, first thing I would like to invite all of you to join us in the Plone community. Go back, take a look at Plone. I know Plone is not as cool as and put your whatever new CMS, but we are secure. We save you time. We give you, there was a saying a few years ago that Plone gives you peace of mind. I've been involved with really, really high profile e-government sites in Brazil for a while. Even though I'm not that hands-on anymore, I talk to them on a regular basis. Plone is used in for the main Brazilian website since 2006, I think. That's the gov.br, and we haven't had a single case of security breach. We had some denial of service in the past, but no heel defacement or invasion, so on and so forth. So that gives you a lot of information about, and these sites are targeted. You have no idea. And Plone gives you that. You do not need to worry about every single thing. You can worry about getting your customer or getting yourself the best possible solution without having to write shitload of code, implement a shitload of stuff. So the Plone community is really welcoming. I would like to invite you to look for us on Twitter @Plone, on Mastodon @Plone.social, and also to join us on April 26th. We're going to have the World Plone Day. It's a day where we basically have 24 hours of Plone activities all around the world. And it's the best opportunity for you to take a look at what the Plone community has been doing. Also go to our Plone channel on YouTube. So it's youtube.com/@PloneCMS. You can see all the talks from previous conferences, all the talks from our live events. And of course, join us in the community. Come meet us in our live events, on the in-person events, for having good beers, having drinks, talking to really nice and friendly people. And as we say here in Brazil, obrigado. Here are my contact information. I'll be on GT, on Meet face to face. I forgot the name, sorry about that. But I'll be there to answer more questions if you have those. And again, thank you, 6itup for this amazing conference. Hope to see you again soon.